Welcome to a windy and I have to say rather wet Donington Park, but it is the third weekend of the High-Q MSA British Touring Car Championship with all the fierce competition and spectacular support racing that provides. But it did seem a few weeks ago that this historic circuit that plans to stage the British Grand Prix in a year's time wouldn't be ready for this weekend. So much rebuilding work is required around the circuit, and when a tunnel was built under the track, it provided problems for the runoff area between Coppice and McLean's, and the circuit suddenly fell short of the required safety standards. Long hours of work were put in to correct this, and the required safety certificate was duly granted for last weekend's Masters meeting and for racing to go ahead this weekend as well. So well done to Donington, but big question marks still remain over its ability to stage the British Grand Prix in a year's time. But as to the touring car boss Alan Gow, he's absolutely delighted that his championship can go ahead today, and he's talking with Louise Goodman.
Alan, as we've just been hearing, it was a race against time to get this track finished in time for the race meeting this weekend. Just how close did you come to cancelling this event?
To be honest, probably a couple of weeks away, but I can't complain. Donington have done a great job in getting the circuit ready. They really were up against the time. They got it ready in time for us and indeed the race meeting before us. And they've done everything to get us here, and I've got no complaints at all. But, you know, it was touch and go, but we kept our faith with them all the way through.
So aside from the problems with the runoff area, did you have any other concerns with the track?
No, none at all. Donington's a great track. They haven't altered anything else other than the runoff over the tunnel. And that was the only issue they had to resolve with the governing body. But other than that, we're looking forward to coming here as always.
So it sounds like you're really quite happy with the response that you've had from the track, because they have been coming in for criticism from a lot of other quarters.
As I said before, Lou, I haven't got any criticism at all. You know, they've done everything they've had to do to get us here, and we're here, and we're having a great race meeting, so why should I criticise them?
Thanks, Alan. Back to you, Steve.
And later during the afternoon, we aim to be hearing from the Donington Chief Executive, Simon Gillette, about his hopes for next year, and also the doubts that Donington might not be ready and it might spell the end of the British Grand Prix itself. But we're certainly ready for racing here today. It gets underway in about 10 minutes' time with round 7 of the British Touring Car Championship, in which Matt Neal in his VX Racing Vauxhall will be looking to extend his 6-point lead over Colin Turkington in the Team RAC BMW. Defending champion Fabrizio Giovanardi, he enjoyed a far better weekend at Thruxton 3 weeks ago, and he moved from 7th to 3rd in the standings. Giovanardi, Turkington and Matt Jackson were the winners at Thruxton, but who were the top performers in yesterday's qualifying? Louise has the details.
Fabrizio Giovanardi set the fastest lap in qualifying, but his grasp on the pole didn't last long. The Italian's Vauxhall failed to start after post-qualifying technical checks, and that's against the rules. The penalty, demotion to the back of the grid.
That's the rules. I cannot make any change. I'm not happy for sure, but what I can do. If I'm coming hungry, it doesn't change anything. I just think about to overtake everyone.
Gio's VXR teammate Andrew Jordan inherited the pole position instead.
I don't know quite how to feel, to be honest, because obviously it's a huge shame for Fabrizio and all the other lads. But we were very close. We were 700 behind him up until he got kicked out of qualifying. So I was there to pick up the pole, and I'm not going to turn it down.
Lining up alongside him was an unfamiliar face. Harry Volkard's beaten his best ever BTCC grid slot by an incredible 8 places and could well be on for his best ever points finish today.
It would be lovely to get a win, but you know it's tough out there. So that's got to be our goal. You know, there's no point aiming to come 3rd or 2nd. So you know, I'm going to be aiming to win, but whether I can do that or not, we'll have to wait and see.
James Thompson was just 200ths behind Volkard in 3rd, but it was a frustrating afternoon for Jason Plato, who mistimed his final run and had to settle for 4th. Stephen Jelly was quickest in practice, but could only manage 5th when it really mattered, and championship leader Matt Neal was equally frustrated, off the pace and down in 8th.
I'm surrounded by BMs, I feel like General Custer in the middle, so it's going to be, who knows what the weather's going to do, but the Vauxhall's strong, dry or wet, so if it's adverse conditions, I think it falls into our favour, and I say bring it on.
So pole for Andrew Jordan, Harry Volkard's riding high in 2nd. Thompson and Plato are on row 2, with the 2 BMWs of Jelly and Collard close behind them. A frustrating day for Matt Neal, he's 8th, and Thruxton race winner Matt Jackson is 10th. Paul O'Neill was the last man in the 113s. Team Aon are much happier with their car this weekend. Morrison's best lap was a 14.4. Tom Chilton was slightly behind him on a 14.7. No times posted for Giovanardi, and problems for Martin Bell too. He spun on his only flying lap.
Well, yesterday certainly gave us a surprise grid. Are we going to get a surprise winner, especially in today's wet conditions here at Donington? We'll be out on the grid ahead of our first touring car action in the afternoon in just a few minutes' time. Welcome back to Donington. It's cold, it's breezy, and the first of the day's forecast rain has duly arrived. But it all just adds to the wonderful unpredictability of touring car racing. And round 7 of the championship is just a few minutes away. In Formula One, of course, a brilliant Jenson Button has won 4 out of 5. But in the touring car campaign so far, we've had 6 different winners in 6 races.
1, 2, lights out, away we go, and Matt Neal's in front, coming to take the checkered flag. It's Matt Neal who takes the first victory of the season. Here we go, he's going for it down the inside, he pushes him wide, he's back on again and Collard through. It's the first win for Airways BMW. Plato gets off the line very well. Oh, and then sideways, completely sideways. What a save by Plato. What a drive from Jason Plato. It's a good start from Giovanardi. Oh! Contact between Collard and Stephen Jelly. 1, 2, 3 for Vauxhall. Giovanardi from Matt Neal and Andrew Jordan. Away we go, and here comes Turkington from the second row. Great chance for Turkington. He's gone alongside Giovanardi. He's swept in front. It's going to be victory for Colin Turkington. For Team RAC, they beat Vauxhall. It's Matt Jackson who makes a great start in the blue Chevrolet. Oh, over the top. It's victory for Matt Jackson. Chevrolet wins again. This year's championship is looking as competitive as ever.
Well, I'm down on the grid with possibly the unluckiest man in the British Touring Car Championship at the moment, Dan Eves. Dan had a nightmare in Thruxton, problems, crashed out in all 3 races. The team did a fantastic job to get your car rebuilt for this weekend, and then tell us what happened.
Yeah, I mean, you have to give all credit to the team. They've been fantastic, everybody at Cartridge World. But yeah, I literally, first test yesterday, drove the car out of the pits, got to the back straight, started to accelerate, and the engine just exploded. It put a conrod through the side of the block. And unfortunately I don't have a spare, so that's put me out for the whole weekend. Now
there was talk of actually driving down to Paris and picking up a spare engine and bringing it back. Why was that not possible?
Well, unfortunately we've got 2 development engines down there and they haven't been quite finished, so there was no point in going to pick them up because they weren't ready. So it would have been great if they could have been here because they are better than the engines we've got, but that's just the bad luck that I've got at the moment, I guess.
But you're still here, you didn't feel like going home and watching it on the telly?
I think I might be better watching it at home actually, with the weather like it is. But I think Adam's got a great chance in the rain. The car's very, very strong in the wet. Not too great in qualifying yesterday, but I think he'll be strong this afternoon.
Cheers, Dan. Well, let's go and grab a quick word with Adam, if I can just shove my microphone in. Adam, you've just had an extra lap going round onto the grid to have a look at the conditions. What's it like out there?
It's very difficult. The biggest thing is just the amount of spray you get off the car in front. So that's obviously a problem in itself, but the circuit's very slippy. There's a lot of dirt on the circuit, a lot of debris, a lot of gravel from the previous races we've just had, so it'll be tricky, it really will be tricky.
Any particular areas of concern as you're going around the track, or is it all pretty treacherous?
It's all pretty consistent at the moment, but obviously, as we know here, the longer it keeps raining, the worse it gets, and the water ends up running down to particular areas, and it always ends up running across the circuit. So if it stays like this, I think we should be okay, but if obviously it gets heavier, then that's when things will start getting really bad.
Now, last time we saw you up on the podium at Thruxton, but a few problems in qualifying yesterday.
Yeah, we know we've had a few little problems yesterday. Obviously, Dan had an engine problem yesterday, but this circuit isn't suited to this car, so aerodynamically it's not the best. But all we can do is obviously pray for a bit of rain as we've got and see if that can help us out today.
Well, it should make it pretty exciting. The race coming up very shortly, so let's go over to our commentators, Tim and Ben.
Thanks very much, Louise. Well, we've got some very interesting weather conditions, haven't we? We've had dry running pretty much throughout the season so far, Tim, but now we've got a proper wet race.
Yeah, just 2 laps of practice they've had prior to this race in the wet. They get 2 extra laps just to feel the conditions, but this is one of the most slippery tracks anywhere they can visit.
And we've got a new pole sitter in Andrew Jordan. Now, this is exciting. And in fact, it's interesting. All three of the VXR drivers have now had a pole position. But, of course, Andrew Jordan, the least experienced of the three, turns 20 pretty soon. And he's looking, of course, for his first win. Can he do it in these wet conditions?
Well, he certainly can, but he's already set his name in the record books. He goes down as the youngest ever pole winner in British touring car history. It's one more step, obviously, to win that race. He certainly has the capability of it. One of his prime opponents, obviously, is teammate Giovanardi starting at the back, but I mean his progress is going to be meteoric, I think. But yes, he does have a very good chance. In the dry, the BMWs have an advantage in terms of they get their tyres working very well over a long distance, but here in the wet, anything goes. They've just got to stay off those curbs and keep the car going forwards.
It'll be fascinating to see. Yes, certainly the BMWs of Colin Turkington, for example, last year struggled a bit in the wet, but watch for James Thompson and Jason Plato on the second row. You know, between those two guys on the second row, they have 80 British touring car wins. Ahead of them, two guys who've got no wins and still looking for their first win. What a contrast, two youngsters up front. And let's just mention Harry Volkart. What a stunning effort in qualifying he did yesterday.
A brilliant performance, both by Harry and the Tempest Motorsport team. It had Jason Plato and the mighty RML team stood looking at his data to find out where they could improve.
Well, that was good stuff. Plato missed out on a quick lap at the end. They just missed getting a quick lap in at the end, missed the checkered flag by a matter of a second and a half or so. But he's going to be starting fourth, is Plato, with Thompson also on the second row. Fascinating starting prospect. They're going away on their formation lap right now. Andrew Jordan just easing that Vauxhall off the line. He was telling me yesterday that getting the start right in this car is very crucial. With those S2000 cars, they do use a handbrake, but when you try and just judge how much clutch slip you allow against the handbrake, it can be very easy to get it wrong.
Well, the handbrake sort of releases it straight away. It's basically so they can set the car on the biting point of the clutch without the car actually moving. And as soon as the lights change, they release that brake. And then it's just down to clutch and throttle control. But of course, as soon as those wheels start to bite, and in the heat of the moment, you always give it more revs than you really want to.
So let's take a look at the grid then. It is Andy Jordan on pole position with Harry Volkart alongside him. It's the two youngsters up front, but look at the second row. It's James Thompson, who won both of his touring car titles here at Donington, and alongside him another former champion in Jason Plato. On row 3 we've got two BMWs. In theory they should start well, but it is wet now, so let's see what happens. Jelly was quick in free practice. Rob Collard, a race winner as well this season. Behind them we've got Colin Turkington carrying quite a lot of ballast, as is Matt Neal. Both of those cars are the heaviest cars on the grid, courtesy of their points positions. Behind them we then see Johnny Adam in the Airwaves BMW, Matt Jackson alongside in the Racing Silverline Chevy, the second of the Chevrolet Lacettis run by Team RML. And then as we go behind them, watch out for Paul O'Neill in the Sunshine.co.uk car. He's got Dave Pinkney alongside in the Team Dynamics machine. Alan Morrison going better in the Team Aon Ford Focus. Both Focuses going better, in fact. Adam Jones is down there in 14th. We heard from him a moment or two ago. John George next up in the TH Motorsport Honda Integra. There's Tom Chilton in the second of the Ford Focus cars. And then as we get down towards the back of the grid now, it's Martin Johnson and Liam McMillan. But then right at the back, one to really watch for is Fabrizio Giovanardi. Always one to watch, no matter where he starts. He's at the back. He was fastest in qualifying, lost that time as a result of the car failing to start off the weighbridge, and that's an interesting situation. Let's see if we can get a quick word with Paul O'Neill. He's carrying the radio with us. He's starting in 11th. Sits Ben in the commentary box to Paul. How are the conditions out there, Paul?
Yeah, hi Ben. Yeah, pretty treacherous, I'm afraid. Just looking at the lines I can take, just looking basically for all the grip I can on the outside of the corner, so quite difficult, but we'll give it a go.
Okay, well, have a good one. There is Paul O'Neill.
Thank you, guys.
In 11th place, and of course he was a star of the show at Thruxton last time out, Tim.
So very nearly won a race in his first comeback into touring cars, as indeed have Matt Jackson and Plato already this year.
Definitely. So all the last few cars moving into place. We're getting ready for round 7 of the HiQ MSA British Touring Car Championship here in the wet, rainy conditions at Donington Park. Listen to the engine revs rise. Andrew Jordan on pole position, looking for the getaway. Volkart makes a very good start. Excellent start by Harry Volkart, and he's going to go on the attack. But now Jordan just begins to pick up some pace, and Collard is coming through in the BMW. Collard's got past both the second row men, has he? He's trying to go around the outside outside. It's Jordan versus Volkard. Volkard sideways. Jordan, and it's Thompson who gets through it all. James Thompson, I think, has just about snatched the lead in the black car with the yellow stripes. Andrew Jordan's still there though, and Jordan's going with him as they come down the training curve. Side by side, the youngster, sideways holds it, and it's Thompson. They're still side by side.
Well, my heart was in my mouth there through the Craner curves at 120 miles an hour. Oh, that's Matt Neal, boy.
Yeah, Matt Neal, the championship leader, is on the grass, and he's desperately trying to get back on the tarmac. It's Tomo who leads, James Thompson leads, Andy Jordan in second place, and it's Rob Collard in the BMW in third.
Yeah, great start by Collard. He really has got that art of starting the car off to a tee, and he stormed through the middle there. Great start by Thompson, forceful at the first corner. Always the best place to be is on the inside in the wet conditions, but Matt Neal on the grass, you can see how long it took him just to get back onto the tarmac.
Dave Pinkney and Adam Jones battling away there as well, and Colin Turkington made a very good start as well because he's up there. I think he's sitting in fourth place. James Thompson is the race leader. Look at the wipers working hard, and for anyone behind the lead car, it's far worse. The two Racing Silverline Chevys did not get off the line well. Plato not very good on that first lap. He's dropped a lot of places from where he started from. It's Thompson leading, Jordan in second, Collard, then Turkington, Volkard is in fifth, Stephen Jelly in sixth, and then it's Jason Plato in seventh place. On board with Matt Jackson here, and he's in ninth.
Yeah, he's got Paul O'Neill, who we spoke to, just coming to the grid right behind him. Paul O'Neill charging at the moment and forcing Matt Jackson to defend into Redgate.
Matt Jackson winner last time out at Thruxton in that third race. We're looking potentially at yet another winner here, but it's early stages of this race. We're on the lap 2 out of 16, and everybody trying to see where there is a little bit of grit. Matt Jackson comes through the shot, as you say. Paul O'Neill is still tucked in behind him. That is the battle for ninth place, but there's the race leader. James Thompson loves this Donington Park circuit. It's a while since he won here last, though, back in 2002, but as I mentioned before, he's wrapped up both of his titles, and he loves the track's had some wonderful races here in the past. Where is Giovanardi? He's down in 14th place. In fact, he and Matt Neal are virtually together after Matt Neal's off on that first lap.
Yeah, Johnny Adam there just making a place at the expense of Jason Plato, and they're coming into shot is Giovanardi. Look at him take those tight lines that he always manages to find a lot of grip on the inside and pace. Adam Jones up behind Morrison, I think that is.
I think you're right. Alan Morrison in the Ford Focus, the Team Aon car, and the two Chevys, the two Racing Silverline Chevys absolutely together as well, just ahead of them. There's Giovanardi getting past Pinkney, and that puts him up into 13th position, I think. We'll check that as they come across the line. Matt Neal will now try and get past Pinkney as well. Yes, Giovanardi in 13th place. Let's just take a look back at Matt Neal. What happened to Matt Neal when he ended up on the grass? Oh, back end went.
Yeah, I think he got a little touch from behind, just on the turn in there. Don't know who it was. He did well to save it, and then of course the cars on the tarmac streaming past. Look, he only just rejoins behind Jones.
They really made contact as he came back on, but he managed to just stay clear. There is the race leader. It's James Thompson. Remember, this is only his second event in the team dynamics of the Civic, and he's got a useful advantage here over Andrew Jordan in second place, Rob Collard in third place, then Colin Turkington. Now this is on board with Paul O'Neill. He's sitting in 10th position, sitting in behind Matt Jackson. Just ahead of Jackson is Johnny Adam.
It's actually Plato he's behind. I think he's already got past Matt Jackson, and he's up behind Plato now. He's having to defend. And that Integra, look how much grip he's got just there on the turning. Paul O'Neill's got absolutely tons of grip in that car.
Yeah, now remember, those Chevrolet Lacettis, we haven't seen them run in the wet on this tyre in British touring cars, and maybe they're struggling, although Harry Volkard is sitting up there in 5th place. There he is, there's Volkard with the white colours on his Chevrolet behind the two Team RAC cars. This is all getting very tight. Paul O'Neill getting a bit of a shove from Plato, but he is through. So O'Neill has gained a couple of places on that lap. Let's just see where he is now. He's into 8th position.
Yeah, and going very strong. I think, in fact, that this group are all concertinaing up perhaps behind Harry Volkard at the moment. Those three BMWs there, the two RAC cars and the Motorbase car, just struggling a little bit for the grip. And look, already Paul O'Neill's all over the back of them.
Johnny Adams gone through there, and so is Paul O'Neill. Stephen Jelly loses 2 places there. On board with Stephen Jelly, I think, and down the hill into Oh, and straight through down on the inside. That is Paul O'Neill. Yeah, he's managed to get past Johnny Adam. Oh, he's on the dirt, he's on the mud, he's gone too wide. He's going to lose the place back again to Johnny Adam. That was a good attempt, but he couldn't hold it.
Yeah, he got down the inside. He was so intent on making sure he got alongside on the run into the old hairpin. He just took too much speed out. And as soon as you touch the exit curbs here, you just spin up the wheels and lose all traction. You'll see them really trying hard not to run onto the exit curbs here.
Great dicing going on, back on board with Paul O'Neill. That's the Team Airwaves car of Johnny Adam just ahead of him after that attempt to get past, but it didn't happen. Down the main straight, no Dunlop Bridge anymore, so it looks a bit strange going down here.
Yeah, it's very odd as you come down here. He's so used to seeing the bridge over there and using it as a marker point for where your braking point would be. And first lap I did this weekend, I couldn't believe it when there was no bridge there. Didn't know where to brake.
Very strange. Okay, back on board with Paul O'Neill as we complete the lap, and this is now 4 laps completed, gone to on lap 5 of 16, and through the spray, Plato is sitting in 8th place. Giovanardi is up to 9th, by the way, now. So there is Giovanardi in the gloom. There he is with the red windscreen strip, and he's going around the outside of Jelly, if possible. Yeah, he's ahead. Oh! Jelly's off! Stephen Jelly, bam! Into the barrier, and the Team RAC car rips the rear wheel off. He's out, well and truly.
Well, it looked like to me that he gave Giovanardi a lot of room there to go around the outside, and I think Matt Neal was trying to follow him through. Almost certainly a safety car now. Watch this. Matt Neal's on the outside trying to follow Giovanardi through, and Jelly just moves to the outside. There's that slightest contact, and that's into a concrete wall. I would be very surprised if they can get that car repaired. That might have done the body shell.
It's done both. It's taken both wheels off. It's both front and rear. That is a huge amount of damage, as you say, Tim. I'm not sure that car will be back out later, and that's a huge disappointment. Safety car is on circuit. Let's just catch up with what's going on then. It's James Thompson who will be picked up by the safety car. He is the race leader in the Team Dynamics Honda Civic. Thompson leads, and of course he had quite a big lead before the safety car came out. I'm just waiting, in fact, there's Jordan going across the line. So the gap, nearly 5 seconds before this safety car came out, so it's really going to hurt Thompson's lead. Jordan in 2nd, Collard in 3rd, Harry Volkard driving well in 4th, Turkington, there he is in 5th, and then Adam in 6th, Plato in 7th, then it's Giovanardi in 8th, so this really helps Fabrizio Giovanardi.
It does. I mean, he's made good progress anyway, but of course this closes everybody up and he gets a restart. Delighted to see Stephen Jelly okay, because that was a big impact, and how his weekend has turned back round from being fastest in both the 2 free practices to possibly end his weekend in the wall. Here's the start, and initially Jordan gets too much wheel spin. It looks like Volkard is actually going to drive past him, but then once they get moving, they end up side by side, and Volkard finds himself with no option but to stay on the outside. Collard making a strong run there, trying to get to the inside. Thompson defending. Now here goes Volkard. He's got no option to run wide. He gets a little touch, that loses momentum. He gets out on the curbs, loses even more momentum. Through on the inside, very neatly goes Thompson with Andrew Jordan behind.
This is Turkington, who got a little bit crossed up with Volkard, so he had actually got in front of Volkard, that's interesting, and then dropped back behind him, so that was also on that first lap. But Turkey was a great start by Turkington, terrible start by Plato. He really bogged down. Now then, let's just see what's going on. The lights are off on the safety car already, so it's only a lap, and we're going to go racing again. So
yeah,
Thompson,
very quick.
Jordan, and then Collard, they're all going to be hard at it as they come out of the chicane. Here comes James Thompson. He gets the power down in the Honda Civic, and he's going to try and ease away from Jordan, who's got the BMW of Collard right behind him. And then it's Harry Volkard versus Colin Turkington as they head down into Redgate, and the race is running once again.
Yeah, back on. Good restart by Thompson. He just held them up enough through the chicane to get the initial jump, and that's given him a couple of car lengths.
Now watch Giovanardi in that group as well. He's the one who could gain places, and guess what? It's his old mate Jason Plato who's the next car he wants to try and get past. Thompson getting away, Andrew Jordan in 2nd, then Collard, Volkard, Turkington, and then Johnny Adam, then the blue car of Plato, then it's Giovanardi. So that's going to be one to watch as they all just still jostle position. There's Plato going up the inside of Johnny Adam. Oh, that was good stuff, and he's got through, and now Giovanardi's going to try and do the same as they come onto McLean's, but he's been boxed out, and that's allowed Matt Neal to go up the inside of Giovanardi.
Yeah, and a little touch of Matt Neal on Johnny Adam puts Johnny Adam out onto the curbs, and he loses another place. Well, that's Matt Neal's favourite overtaking place in all BTCC history. We've seen him make so many moves up there, usually in the dry, but still brave then to go through in the wet.
So that was an important move by Matt Neal. He does lead the championship, remember, and he's managed to get himself past his teammate Giovanardi there, so he'll be well pleased with that. There's no team orders here. These guys are fighting for the title. Early stages still, but Giovanardi will try and come back at him. Thompson is still our race leader. They're coming around this time. 7 laps completed out of what is now a 17-lap race. We've added one as a result of the safety car, and Plato is having a little go at getting past Colin Turkington. The blue car of Jason Plato down the inside of the BMW, and he's got the move made, but Turkington's trying to sweep around the outside. Matt Neal's following them both, so is Giovanardi, and I think they're still side by side. No, Turkington stays in front.
Well, Plato gave him plenty of room. That was good. He could have run him wide just onto the curb, but he gave him room, and Turkington stays in front. But of course, going back to the 2 Vauxhalls, the weight as Martin Bell, the Sunshine.co.uk team, done a good job to repair his car after an off yesterday, but back side by side, Plato, he'll get it done this time, round the outside, will give him the inside for McLean's, and he's well past.
Yeah, he is well past. He's done an extremely good job there, isn't he? So he nips up, then Matt Neal's going to try and do the same, and watch out behind them, Johnny Adam was about to have a go at getting past Giovanardi, so good stuff, on board with Matt Neal here. He's going to try and get past Turkington now. Rear-wheel drive BMW. They got the car working much better in the wet towards the latter part of last year, but sometimes there's no doubt the front-wheel drive cars do have a slight edge in these slippery conditions as they head down. Look at Giovanardi moving tight to the inside in the Vauxhall there. Matt Neal having a little think about Turkington. And Johnny Adam being passed by Adam Jones.
Yes, yeah, easy to get those names mixed up, isn't it? But it's just they're falling over each other a little bit, and each time it gives another opportunity, and Matt Neal puts Giovanardi on the grass as he in turn attempts to pass Turkington.
That nearly ended in tears, and that was the 2 Vauxhall teammates. Look at Matt Neal now, he's trying to go around the outside, but Plato's there. Plato will make him run wide. No, he doesn't.
So close. I mean, the weight penalty that these Vauxhalls are carrying over really doesn't hurt them in the wet. Nothing like the penalty that it is in the dry, as getting side by side, Adam Jones up the inside. Oh, nearly.
And now Giovanardi's going to have a little think about Turkington. No, he can't. Plato just holding on at the front of this queue. This is the battle for 5th position, by the way. It's very, very good battle, and you wonder if it can continue like this up towards McLean's Giovanardi. And this is the battle for 4th place, 3rd and 4th. It's Collard versus Volkard. Little touch. It's Collard goes through. Volkard comes back to the inside here, and which one of them's going to emerge in 3rd place from Coppice Corner? And meanwhile, Adam Jones and Giovanardi side by side.
Oh, and Turkington off as well. He won't get out of that.
And look at Paul O'Neill squeezing up the inside of all that as well. What a tussle that was as they all came through. So hard to see. Collard and Volkard still battling for 3rd here. Collard on the inside. Volkard has to give best. Now, what's going to go on with these guys? Still Andrew Jordan running in 2nd, and still a wonderful battle for 3rd. Right behind them, Plato. We've lost Turkington from the group now, of course. So that's Matt Neal next up behind Plato. And that's always a fun battle to watch, isn't it? Plato versus Matt Neal.
Well, Volkard, both the Chevys side by side at the same time. Matt Neal could get both of them. He does. But Volkard desperately looking for his first podium, and he was battling with Collard and has just fallen into the clutches where by one mistake can you lose a couple of places.
Matt Neal's up to 4th. That's a great run from Matt Neal. Absolutely superb, but it's still...
Oh, Volkard out wide again. It's all going wrong for him.
Just getting rattled, isn't it? So easy to start making mistakes when you get a bit rattled, and Plato goes past him. And he's got Johnny Adam bearing down on him as well. Andrew Jordan still running in a clean 2nd. Collard in 3rd. Matt Neal there in 4th position. And we've still got some way to go. We're on lap 10 out of 17.
Matt Neal on the outside here as Plato and Volkard just get together doing simultaneous sliding, and Neal goes through on the inside. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a lovely feeling when you get that little bit of a break, and Matt Neal took full advantage of it. And Volkard and Plato go side by side once again as they head down towards the chicane. Battle for 4th position this is, and Volkard driving really well. He might have made that little mistake a moment ago, but he's back in it again. And Johnny Adams there as well. Giovanardi is next up with Adam Jones.
That's Neal on board in 4th place now, with Collard in front and Andrew Jordan not that far ahead at all, although Thompson in front of them in 1st place has a 2.7 second lead. So still the battle certainly for 2nd is up for grabs.
Yeah, this is great stuff. Paul O'Neill is currently in 10th place. And there's Volkart versus Plato, still side by side. Look at Johnny Adam in the BMW, the Airwaves car right behind them as well. He wants to join in. Volkart uses the fairly standard line. Plato doesn't dive down the inside. And still Giovanardi's in that group. So is Paul O'Neill. So is Alan Morrison, by the way, doing a good job in the Ford Focus, the Team Aon car. And it's great to see that those cars are beginning to be a factor. Matt Jackson, by the way, is way down in 13th place. Had that mishap earlier, so he's further down than might be expected. Here comes Giovanardi. Oh, how's this going to end? You do wonder, don't you? Still several laps to go. There's a yellow flag up there.
That's for the BMW of Turkington that was in the gravel. They're licensed here at Donington to do snatch, so they can pull that out the way just with the yellow flag out and no safety car.
Back on board with Paul O'Neill, sitting in behind Giovanardi at the moment as they head down towards the chicane. Sounds like he was on the rev limiter briefly. Choosing his braking point carefully.
Yeah, Paul had a great... Oh, if he could get a run here on Giovanardi may have just blocked his momentum there, but Paul had a great run going early on, then dropped back to 13th, and he's fought his way back up again, and is still fighting with Giovanardi. Could dive to the inside, not this lap.
No, the side's against it, and Giovanardi taking that tighter line in, and getting a reasonable amount of grip. Notice how he stayed off the curve, as you were saying, Tim. It's so treacherous when you get out on those curves on the exit, and he made sure of staying off that curve. But Giovanardi still under big pressure here from Paul O'Neill as they come down through the crane, as he was brave.
He was
there.
Very quick through there, wasn't he? He put some distance on Paul O'Neill through sheer bravery down through the craners there.
Good stuff from the Italian. He is always entertaining to watch. He's so committed, even if he's battling. Oh, and this is for third now. Collard under pressure from Matt Neal. These two have had their run-ins in the past, but that's clean. That's good move from Matt Neal.
Yeah, that was a good move. I mean, this is very reminiscent of that wet race at Rockingham where Matt Neal came out of nowhere and shot to the front, and really he does have a deft touch in the wet in that Vauxhall.
He does, yeah, he seems to love it. Johnny Adam, meanwhile, trying to get past Plato, and Giovanardi's joining in and may be able to take advantage of both, losing a bit of momentum. He's got the inside, Giovanardi, but which engine is the stronger down the straight? Virtually nothing in it, to be honest, and Johnny Adam's able to just sweep across in front of Giovanardi before they get on the brakes into the chicane. Plato still holding on to 6th, and then it's Johnny Adam in 7th. Looking for the traction out of the corner. Great stuff, this.
Yeah, that Chevrolet seems very slow through the second part of that chicane. I've seen a couple of cars run up behind him, and it happened again there. And Johnny Adam on the outside with Plato and Giovanardi on the inside. Has he got room? He has got the room. That was good. He didn't get out on that curve, and he's now got some momentum. Now, who's going to be brave through the left-hander?
This is good stuff. Wonderful, side by side down through the crater curves. Plato gets the edge though, and Giovanardi, I thought he was going to find a bit of space, and again he looks for it, but no, it's not there. Doesn't stick his nose down the inside. He's got more experience, more sensible than that. He'll wait for maybe a slightly better opportunity. We're on lap 13 out of 17. The race is still being led by James Thompson. Let's not forget that. James Thompson has a nearly 3-second lead, but a new fastest lap just gone to Harry Volkart. Well done to Harry. Excellent job in the Tempur Sport car, but we're watching this dice. Johnny Adam now getting alongside Plato, and he's done it. He's got past Plato, and the BMW, the Airwaves car's got in front.
Yeah, it was great stuff. The conditions have stayed very much the same, actually. So, and Paul O'Neill looking up the inside. He's going to be on the grass.
Oh, wonderful. He hasn't given up, though. Look, he's still there. We're on board with him, but he's not quite got the overlap.
Come on, son. Come on, Paul. Get in there. I mean, Harry Volkart has just got the gap on this group now, which is great. As you say, put in that fastest lap, and that's taken him away from this bunch, and he's in a fairly safe 6th place now.
It's nerve-wracking. Johnny Adam is now in 6th place. Plato is in 7th, but I wonder how much longer.
Oh, Paul could get 2 places here, yes.
He might do. Giovanardi got very sideways. Plato and Giovanardi are busy knocking 7 bells out of each other, and Paul O'Neill has dived through past both of them.
Yeah, good move. Just show. Oh, Paul! Great car control there. He knew he had to be brave, but great car control, and it just shows, even when you drop back earlier in the race, as he did, he still kept his focus and kept going. This is Plato up the inside of Giovanardi, and just a little touch there, and through goes Paul. He was in the perfect position to capitalise.
Yeah, that was great, just like Matt Neal earlier on, and then there was a little bit of rubbing with Plato and Giovanardi. But it was Paul O'Neill who gained the advantage and puts him into 7th position now. There we are with Giovanardi and Plato, still hard at it. The two of them, of course, who fought so hard for last year's title. And then Paul O'Neill now trying to get past Johnny Adams. So sunshine.co.uk cars on the inside here, and I think he's going to do it. He's got a great run going, and Johnny Adams going to have to be super brave on the brakes, and it's probably not worth it. No, it's not. He cuts in behind. Meanwhile, Plato Giovanardi stay line astern, and that means that Paul O'Neill is now into 6th place.
Yeah, great drive. I mean, Paul just loves this car, the Honda Integra. It's a really good, solid car. Great success, obviously, in the championship. He's with the team, Marvin Humphries and Tech Speed, who know the car and he knows them well. And it's just great to see him enjoying his racing.
Well, he's doing a superb job. It may be no sunshine here at the moment, but that car is flying as he heads down the hill through the craters. He's in a solid 6th place, and he's trying to get away from Johnny Adams. There is our leader, and he's been out in front pretty much throughout this entire race, Tim. We haven't seen a lot of him, but he's got a nearly 3-second lead over Andy Jordan.
Yeah, this is a great result for him, assuming he managed to put it off. Obviously, the Dynamics team based just down the road in Pershore, so not far from here, and I'm sure they've got a lot of guests here they'd like to do well. And it's great for James Thompson. He's racing in the Swedish Touring Car Championship. He had a podium there last week, so he's a busy boy, driving a Honda out there and a Honda Civic over here. So busy boy, but a win is going to be great news for him.
Yeah, it'd be excellent for him on only his 2nd event in the car. And on board with Adam Jones, you're looking at Giovanardi and Plato just ahead. So what's the Italian going to do here? I thought he might try for the inside, but Plato just moves across enough. And a real lesson watching these two race against each other as they position their cars just to try and take advantage. But Adam Jones will join in. That car, he was hoping for wet conditions, was Adam.
Yeah, he felt the car was very good in the wet, and he's driven a sensible race. Perhaps not as aggressive as some of the races he takes part in, but he's let the race come to him. And obviously, it's a long day here. 2 more races to come, and sensible driving.
Just under 2 laps to go now. As Paul O'Neill still under pressure from Johnny Adam. He hasn't been able to get away from the young Scot that quickly, and there's a bit of a slide for O'Neill, and he's definitely under pressure here. Johnny Adam, of course, he won on the road at Ranch Hatch, he picked up a penalty, so he ended up with a 2nd place, so he's still looking for his 1st win, but at the moment he's fighting for 6th place here.
Matt Jackson, all the way back in 11th place, has just set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, so conditions just slightly improving, and also the drivers getting that feel for the circuit, where the grip is. Collard,
Off goes O'Neill! Paul O'Neill into the gravel! Oh, what a shame, when he was going so well. Contact with Johnny Adam, he tried to cover it, and there we are, looking at Paul. Oh, he can't believe it.
Well, it's desperately unlucky. There was a slight bit of contact here. Paul O'Neill loses a bit of time coming out. Knows that he's trying to defend. Adam is trying to get out the inside. There's a slightest touch on a front-wheel drive car, and off he goes.
Well, let's just see what's going on, because the leaders are on their final lap now. And there is Johnny Adam, and this was the manoeuvre when it all went wrong for Paul O'Neill. And off into the gravel trap went Paul. James Thompson is leading this race, though. He's on his final lap, and, well, he's only in his 2nd event with the team, with the car. He's been asking for some changes. He's been pushing the team to make some little alterations here and there. Did a great job in dry qualifying yesterday, set the 3rd fastest time. Good start at the beginning of this race, and then he's really just driven away, controlled the pace, maintained the gap, and a really accomplished performance from him.
Yeah, well, this is why Steve Neal wanted him in the team. Steve regards him as one of the few Category A drivers that you can guarantee for wins and to be in a championship fight. And as you say, he's pushed the team on, and this is the reward for him.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be Andrew Jordan's best ever result. He's heading for 2nd place, and that is his best result, and surely his 1st win is not far off. But coming through the chicane for the final time, we are going to have our 7th different winner in 7 races. That's a new record. James Thompson takes victory here at Donington Park. Andrew Jordan takes his best ever result, and Matt Neal, the championship leader, doing a champion's job again to finish in 3rd place. Who's going to be 4th? It's going to be Collard, Volkard, and then Jonathan Adam takes 6th. Plato is 7th, just ahead of Giovanardi. Adam Jones a good 8th. Matt Jackson takes 10th. And Martin Johnson, let's just mention Martin Johnson in the old Astra Coupe. He just missed out on a point there. He finished down in 11th place.
Yeah, great result for him, and excellent race. I mean, a wide variety of lines available, a grip all over the track, giving us great racing, and really lots of excitement I'm sure there'll be 2 more races like that to come.
Good stuff from James Thompson. And Andrew Jordan just beaten at the start. There's Paul O'Neill. Oh, well, that's such a shame. They really were on for a tremendous result there, but he trudges away.
It's one of those accidents, though, that, you know, in the wet happens so easily. Yeah. We saw Stephen Jelly get tipped off earlier, just the slightest touch. And in fairness, you know, I think Paul was trying to move over and defend the inside line, and Johnny Adam was trying to get in there, and it was just it was an inadvertent tap, but the consequence is obviously out of the race.
Yeah, so great disappointment for him. But James Thompson there, race winner. Fastest lap went to Matt Jackson, as you mentioned there towards the end, Tim. Matt Jackson putting in a very good lap. Finished in 10th place, but can of course still be in good shape for later on today when we get to the reverse grid in race 3. Let's take a look at that result then. Thompson the winner from Andrew Jordan and Matt Neal. So Viex Racing having 2 cars up there, but the win goes to Team Dynamics. And the Airways BMW Volkard in 4th. Harry Volkard, his best ever result, in 5th. Johnny Adam in 6th, ahead of Jason Plato and Giovanardi, the 2 of them battling throughout. And then Adam Jones finished in 9th, and Matt Jackson got the final point in 10th. So that meant that just outside the points was Martin Johnson. Great drive, though, from the privateer in the Boulevard Team Racing car, ahead of Tom Chilton. Liam McMillan, a good result for him, too, in 13th, staying on the tarmac when others weren't. Paul O'Neill, of course, a non-finisher at the end. Colin Turkington and Stephen Jelly both failing to finish, so neither Team RAC car, I'm afraid, getting a result out of that. And, well, this is what it does in terms of the points. Of course, Matt Neal was already leading, and that means he's got a useful boost because Turkington failed to score any points at all. Giovanardi only finished in 8th place. Collard, well, he was 4th, so reasonably well placed. But that really is a big bonus, that, for Matt Neal. He's on 74 points, and he's edged away from his nearest opposition.
Yeah, I mean, I think Giovanardi would be happy enough to have got it up to 8. Obviously, having started from the back, at least it's an improvement. And he can drop some weight, for depending on the conditions for next race, may help him as well. But Matt Neal, yes, definitely, his momentum continues.
Yeah, very, very good start to the season for Matt Neal. But there is our new winner. And I tell you what, 7 different winners. How about that, Tim? That's remarkable.
It is. I think it's testament to the competitiveness of the championship, the fact that the sporting regulations are correct, and it's great racing for us. But let's go down to Steve to hear some more.
Yeah, James Thompson, former champion, back in the championship, and now back in the championship as a winner as the rain comes down even heavier. Got on the podium, of course, in that 3rd race at Thruxton just 3 weeks ago, but what kind of progress have they made? What kind of improvements to get him onto the top step, back at Donington, and back at Donington as a winner. James Thompson, winner of our first race today. Congratulations. Tell us about how you put that together, and tell us about the start in particular.
Yeah, the start was just plain lucky, really, to be honest. I just thought I'd keep out of trouble down the inside and see what transpired. But yeah, it was good. Just sort of stretched my legs in the early part of the race, and then of course safety car came out, closed us up, and had to do it all again. But no, really pleased for the boys. They've worked really hard since I joined. Well, obviously they've always been working hard, but particularly working hard to get us to where we are today. So very, very pleased for them, and over the moon for myself as well.
You came back into the championship at Thruxton. You got that 3rd place in the 3rd race at Thruxton. How far then did you think victory might be away?
Well, I think we had a wish list of things that we wanted to improve from Thruxton to come here. As I say, they worked really hard, you know, getting as far down there as they could. We've still got things we want to improve, and you know, I'm fantastic to be in this position so early.
The rain now is torrential. Do you fancy these conditions once again for race 2?
Why not?
I'm glad you're enjoying them. You go off and enjoy the celebrations up on the podium. We'll see those in a few minutes. We'll get some more reaction from that fantastic midfield battle as well, and we'll get the support racing underway with the Porsche Carrera Cup. More from a very wet Donington in a few minutes' time.